we've been talking about this whole effort and what it takes to execute. I think our audience would like to know, how do you collaborate internally? What did you do? You give one brief example of how an internal collaboration allowed you to achieve your diversity goals and to execute these initiatives. Just one. Thank you. Nikki.
So we have an annual tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King program. And previously the programming was fine and the people they invited in was fine, but this is held at a historically Black church. And the audience is comprised of mostly Black people. And so I presented the idea to have us feature Dr. King as a preacher and have a gospel choir come in. And so our artistic administration, our production team, everybody was on point to try to make that happen. So we invited a gospel choir in, and there were a lot of hallelujahs and hand raising, and people felt comfortable in that environment, but the symphony was still there. The entire symphony played. So it was a great way for us to show, like, both things can happen at the same time. We can do something that's traditionally and historically Black, for lack of a better word, part of the Black culture, and still play Dvorak and play different pieces from other composers. So it was just a really great collaboration, and our music director was on point, and they talked through the different pieces and explained like the historical significance. So it was the best of both worlds, but it couldn't have happened without like the whole team, our education, our production, our CEO, obviously, to even approve of this approach. So we collaborated and we all had our assignments and we made it happen. And I do want to say the Virginia Symphony Orchestra staff is amazing. Everybody works well together, the marketing team, and I'm just really fortunate to be a part of this organization because we do really have a great team.
Oh, thank you. So you're passionate, leading the way. Thank you. James?
Yeah, so many places to start here, but I guess I'll just keep it to one. As you say, when I talked to Jim Cunningham at WQED, and he's, I remember one of the interviews, he said, the board must have really trusted you to put on that concert and to take those risks. But for me, it really actually all starts with the board, the board's commitment to these kinds of engagements. I never would have taken these risks. I never would have, dreamt this big with this and other initiatives if it didn't all come from the board and their commitment and their mission and visioning exercises, the way that they declared their intentions for us as an organization. That's what set this all in motion. So I think internally, the executive director and I working so closely together on this, and all of the other collaborations that we established outside of the organization, that all comes completely from the board's commitment and their vision.
Thank you for bringing up the impact and role of the board of directors, and particularly in providing the oversight and guidance. Thank you. That's great. Wow. Okay. Katie and Janaya, tell us about New Haven.
One of the things I wanted to mention was one of the ways we operate, which I think is so helpful, is we don't really separate out community engagement from audience development, which sometimes live in two different departments in a lot of orchestras. So we work, it's beneficial that we have a small team in this case. We work very closely together so that it's sort of a unified approach to all of those things as one, instead of looking as one is this, one is that. And Janaya, do you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yes, just in my experience, I realized that everyone was like-minded with our goals with the Helen Hagen project. So it just helped that nothing was slowed down. We didn't have to waver or get confirmation. Everything was executed very smoothly because we all had a common goal in mind and we were on board for it.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Joe.
Yeah, I guess I'm the quote person today. I have a quote I want to share. To me, so I'll start with visibility. So when we talk about what we're doing, the transparency and visibility across departments is key. And so this is a quote, Simon Woods wrote this, summer 2022, Symphony Magazine, another plug for the league. He wrote, "It's time for artistic planners, marketing directors, and community engagement directors to sit around a table before committing a single program to paper and ask, what does our community want and need from us? How might our individual goals better align in service of longer-term institutional growth?" So this quote actually is hanging on the wall of our community engagement manager, and really, I think, epitomizes how we approach operations planning, our budgets, our execution of our strategic plan. I mean, I always think about within our strategic plan, there are 3 pillars, and to the extent that the productions and the efforts we lift are hitting the bullseye, both in terms of those pillars, but also how we come together as a team and be visible to our activities, we're gonna make an impact. And I think this quote from Simon really speaks to that alignment that's necessary for us to have directionally aligned and impactful efforts in our community. So definitely visibility and alignment help us have that intersectionality.